So we're going to jump right into the economy. There's no doubt we are in an economic downturn. Inflation is a huge concern. What, in your opinion, is the best and fastest way to help not only the individual Arkansan, but Arkansas business owners as well? Ms. Malates.
I think any way that we can put money back into the pockets of our hardworking citizens and reduce the cost for our businesses is going to be the most effective way. I would like to introduce a bill called OT40, which would allow for no taxation on overtime pay, commission type paychecks, and Social Security, to allow for working citizens and retired citizens to be able to have more funds in their pocket to be able to meet the needs that they have, whether it's paying their bills, putting a roof over their head. We can also look at the way that we are requiring the taxation of the businesses and what that we could bring down for them to reduce their cost as well.
Mr. Kalagis, you have 1 minute.
Yeah, the best way to stimulate the economy is tax breaks. So I can agree with you there. I think we need across the board tax breaks. I know my family, when I calculate it all up, we're paying about 50% of all of our income just goes to pay taxes. By the time you have your income taxes, your payroll taxes, your property taxes, your sales taxes, the fees that go on vehicles, taxes on food, it's overwhelming how much money you have to give up from what you earn. So, and we need to lower that tax burden, not just in income taxes, but across the board, in all taxes. But the only way you can do that, the only way you can lower taxes is if you cut spending. So if you lower taxes without cutting spending, all you've done is shift the burden somewhere else. You haven't really lowered taxes. You've put it out on a future generation. You've shifted it to a different tax. The way to fix it is, one, you have to control your spending, cut the spending a lot. And once you cut spending, then you can responsibly cut the taxes so that people can have the money that they earned and put that into the economy.
Mr. Womack.
We're talking about inflation. And inflation is a simple problem. It is too much money chasing too few products. And the first thing that we have to do in Congress is quit spending so much money. I mean, we just spend, and that's the answer that a lot of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to do. They want to address every problem we have by throwing more money at it. We just simply can't afford to continue to spend at the rate we're spending. Inflation was at 8+ % in the last quarter. The core inflation, which is a better predictor of future inflation, is at 6.5%, and that's excluding food and energy. The other thing we have to do is everything is influenced by how much we spend on energy. And people are about to open their heating bills this cold winter. They're going to find out the reality of that. We need to unleash American resources, put America back into energy independence, because that's one of the ways that we can reduce the input costs that go into everything that we do in this economy.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Malates, you have 30 seconds for follow-up.
I think it's no surprise to anybody that we're kind of in this situation following one of the worst pandemics that we've seen, the only pandemic we've seen in my lifetime. And so it's not surprising that we're seeing some of these problems. To help our businesses, though, we need to fix the broken supply chains that have been affected and also reduce the price gouging that we're seeing by corporations that are increasing costs for no need at this point.
Mr. Kalagis.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Mr. Womack on part of that the reason we have this inflation is because Congress keeps spending way too much money. The problem is that while he recognizes what the problem is, he hasn't done anything to solve it while he's been there. He's been in Congress for 12 years. We've never had anything close to a balanced budget, even when he was the budget chairman. So he's voted for every single debt limit increase that we've had since he's been in office. So we need someone that not only recognizes the problems, we need someone that's actually going to do something about it as well.
All right, Mr. Womack, 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, I was budget chairman, and I've got a front row seat to exactly what our challenges are, and I talked about it with our spending. But here's the other data point that I think a lot of people need to understand is for every 10 basis points of an increase in the interest rates that are a factor in this inflation struggle, is $22 billion more in debt service. So, I would agree if we had a chance to balance the budget, we should. I have served under mainly Democrat rule since I've been in Congress, either in the House or in the White House. So, look, both sides got to come together. This is not just a Republican issue or Democrat issue. This is an American issue. We've got to solve for the budget crisis and our balance sheet.
Got to call it there, sir. Next question goes first to Mr. Kalagis. We've all talked about inflation here. It is, in fact, global, is it not? The inflation rate in Europe, in the European countries, I think I checked a moment ago, and it was something along the lines of 11 or 12%. So is it more than just an American phenomenon? Are the forces more global than they are purely domestic?
There are some global forces. We exist in a global market. We are the most dominant force in that market. And so a lot of what we do, the rest of the world follows to a certain extent. And you'll see other countries are doing a lot of the same things. Their central banks dumped a lot of extra currency into their market, and dumping that currency into the market causes inflation, and we're paying for that now. As far as the global crisis for inflation goes, that's not really the realm of Congress necessarily to take care of. I can't fix what's going on in Europe. So our Congress works for the United States of America. We can fix what's going on here. We can quit borrowing money from the Fed. We can quit have deficit spending. We can start paying back some of what we've borrowed so that we can control our inflation here. And then if the rest of the world follows suit, that's great. But that's up to the rest of the world. That's not a job for our Congress.
Mr. Womack, 1 minute.
Yeah, well, it is a global problem. Inflation rages around the world, but for different reasons. I mean, in America, I think we could begin the process of fixing inflation if we just had the opportunity to unleash American resources here from an energy perspective. Everything that we do, our entire economic structure has energy kind of baked into it. So that's one thing we can do in America to lead, and that is quit relying on the global supply, because energy is kind of a global commodity, and be able to unleash those resources right here under our feet. And I think if we did a better job of that, we would be leading our way out of this recession, or at least begin the process of doing that. The other thing is we got a big war raging in Ukraine. We've got oppression in Iran and demonstrations going on there. So there's a lot of upheaval. This is not a very stable world we live in. And all of those things, I think, go to contribute to the inflationary spirals that are affecting the entire country.
Ms. Mallett-Hayes.
Yes, this is definitely a global issue, and I'm glad Mr. Womack identified that as such, since he has been so dead set on blaming it on this current administration. Yes, we are seeing this because of the pandemic. Yes, because of the supply chain disruption worldwide throughout the pandemic, and economies are trying to get back on their feet. However, if we're only focusing on our oil industry for our energy needs, we are missing the boat. That is a non-renewable resource. We are not setting the precedent for our children in the future. We have to come up with a cohesive solution that contains fossil fuel, green energy, and other ways that we can sustain our energy grids going into the future, because we are going to run out of the resources we currently have. And if we do not put focus on that now, we're going to be trying to play catch up.
Mr. Klages, 30 seconds to follow up.
It always is good if you can develop your domestic resources. For the most part, we already are producing everything that we need in this country. Much of what we import into this country as far as energy or oil goes is so that we can export it back out as a refined product. Oil is on a global market. It's priced on a global market. So increasing domestic production isn't necessarily going to have that big of a change here, depending on what the rest of the global market is doing. So we do need to concentrate on making sure that we have diverse domestic energy production. But once again, we can't be the savior for the rest of the world. A lot of the rest of the world, a lot of the global market is going to have to be taken care of by countries over there.
Mr. Womack, 30 seconds.
You know, there's not much more to add to it other than the fact that, as I said, it's an unstable world. And national security is a big piece of it. We have to continue to bolster national security so that we remain free and capable of doing the things that we do. Like I say, the energy issues that are facing this country right now are hitting everybody in the pocketbook, from what they do by putting gas in their car to the foods that they put on their table. It is and it doesn't have to be this way. We have the resources. All we have to do is bring those back to bear in the United States of America, and we can do it in a better and cleaner way than people around the globe.
And 30 seconds for Ms. Mallett-Hayes.
I think I'm good.